now listening to the Rookie Big Board Podcast Network.
Welcome into the Dynasty Big Board, part of the Rookie Big Board Podcast Network. I'm your host, Anthony Correnti, joined by my co-hosts Ryan Searfoss and Eric Adams. Gentlemen, how you doing today?
Fantastic. How about yourself?
Doing pretty good. Can't complain. Eric,
I feel
what
like
about you?
nobody ever asked the host.
Thank you.
It's always good to check in with you, Anthony. It's always good to check in.
Thank
Big stat, fellas. 100 days until the NFL season kicks off.
Let's go.
It'll be 99 by the time they're listening, so even better.
Down to double digits. Let's go.
Double
baby.
digits. Happy double digits till NFL football to all of the listeners and watchers on YouTube. So on today's show, we're going to be discussing players who aren't set to be locked into like starters roles either on your fantasy team or their respective NFL teams for the 2022 season, but still could prove to be very valuable bench depth with maybe even the ceiling for a little bit more on your dynasty rosters. So if you're watching on YouTube, make sure to like the video and comment below who you think could kind of be very valuable bench depth for this season. But before we get into it, I want to make sure that you know you can gain access to Rookie Big Board premium content at patreon.com/VFFeducator. This includes our consensus dynasty rankings, consensus Devy rankings, access to our engaging and active Discord channel, and the ability to ask us for personalized advice on trades, your roster, and much more. So head on over to patreon.com/TheFFeducator. It's as cheap as $3 a month. You get access to a ton of great stuff, including, John Lobb's Devy rankings, Matt's Rookie Big Board, all that good stuff. So head on over there and get signed up. And let's talk bench depth players. So I know we each brought two players to get into tonight. Let's kick things off, Ryan, with the first guy that you wanted to discuss, Chicago Bears running back Khalil Herbert, who last season had just over 100 attempts, just over 400 yards on the ground and 2 touchdowns, and a modest 96 yards through the air. So talk to me about Khalil Herbert. What are you feeling for him?
So like I said, last year I was not ready for Khalil Herbert first, but let me say myself. Yeah,
Sorry, my bad.
That's okay. No, I liked everything we saw with Khalil Herbert last year. Yes, he had low carries, but in his rookie year, he performed just as well as we saw David Montgomery. He was a more explosive runner. He was able to take every other chance. Right now, we're looking at we're worried about standalone value with him first because we don't know 100% who the starting running back is, even though it could be Montgomery. But we're looking at a team that has no receiving, a running quarterback who normally, in most cases, helps out the running position. So he's going to have standalone value because they're going to be up at the top of the league for running the ball. They're going to want to try to play ball control football, keep their quarterback safe. And like we said before, there's no one they can really throw to. And then if we see any injury to David Montgomery, who hasn't played every single game of the seasons, that's when the real value comes. So he can move from a flex option to an RB2. Because what we've seen out of Montgomery for this long, he's been consistently good, but never anything like explosive or extremely special, and still puts out borderline low-end RB1, high-end RB2 numbers for multiple seasons in a row. So even putting Herbert in, who has a little bit more juice, that puts him right there in the weight side. So he's not only a top-tier backup handcuff player, but he's also giving us his standalone value, except with this team having to run the ball as much as they do.
I'm going to ignore the fact that you just flamed David Montgomery a little bit.
I like David Montgomery, but
I know you do, but that was aggressive. That was a little aggressive against him. I feel bad.
It was a little aggressive, and I've always been a David Montgomery supporter.
Until today.
I still plan on drafting him a lot. But I mean, look at this. We got 3 yards of attempts, not the other thing, but we're looking at 3.7, 4.3, 3.8. There's nothing special there. It's not explosive. It's just he is great at pounding the rock. And I don't know. I think we can get that out of Khalil Herbert plus.
You just called him the PB&J sandwich that's seeping through the bag by lunchtime at school. That's what you just called David Montgomery. And I'll tell you what. No, I'm kidding. I'm not going to make this about David Montgomery. I want to talk more about Khalil Herbert. I love Khalil Herbert. I'm with this call. He's a good player. He clearly has chops to play in this league. If anything happens to David Montgomery, he's a very valid stand-in. And like you said, their only hope is to play ball control football. If they want to be successful this year, that's literally the only path to success.
That's the only way. They ran the ball 475 times last year, which we could see that creeping up to 500, I bet.
It's the best help.
I mean, we took away.
Justin Fields, Jefferson.
I know they didn't have Allen Robinson. They didn't throw to him at all last year, but losing that still makes them have to run more.
Yep.
Like they completely ignored him, but like that's all they can do.
Yep. I saw a tweet about like a scheme change saying they're going to try to run. Well, I wish I found this tweet beforehand. Not prepared, people. Shame on me. But if that comes to fruition, like you said, their passing game options are just not great. That's just not good. So I'm with Khalil Herbert. I love the call. I could see them. Hey man, with the lack of wide receiver talent, go dual running back sets. Why is that not a thing more in the NFL anymore? I want to see more of that. Dude, these are a good 1-2 punch to put on the field.
Yeah, I'm with it. Sorry, go ahead, Ryan.
I'd say I'd be running that zone read with them all day. And he caught 14 out of 15, or he had caught 14 out of 16 balls thrown his way last year too, which isn't something to really scoff about.
He can do it.
Yeah,
he can do it.
Yep.
I'm a fan of Herbert also, and I think I agree with all the points that have already been made. They'll have to look to run the ball a lot, and I do think he'll offer some standalone value. And in the event that Montgomery does miss time, he becomes an immediate plug and play, probably mid-range RB2 at worst, just based on opportunity alone. So yeah, I think he'll give you flex value during the season with Montgomery healthy, and if Montgomery goes down, the ceiling gets pretty high for Herbert.
His games where he did start last year, 18 attempts, 75 yards, 19 attempts, 97 yards, 18 for 100, 23 for 72. You're plugging that in and you're starting and you're happy.
This is Montgomery's final year, isn't it?
Yep.
Yes.
Oh boy. Yeah, they are so not bringing him back.
This could be the changing of the guard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or the beginning
I feel like
anyway.
It's like that transition from Jordan Howard to David Montgomery and David Montgomery to Khalil Herbert. It's all like just kind of the same.
Yeah. Let's move on to the next guy. One of the guys Eric wanted to talk about, a rookie tight end, Trey McBride. So Eric, what are your thoughts about Trey McBride for the Arizona Cardinals this year?
All right, people, keep your pants on. I know you're very excited that I just brought in the tight end here. Calm down. This is the fun part of the pod. I looking to try and find my bench guys, and yeah, he is a bench guy right now. Zach Ertz is 100% the starter in Arizona. He had a good year once he got to Arizona, and I don't really even want to bring up the age thing because I know he's going to be 32, but when you're still playing at the level that Zach Ertz played in Arizona, that's not a thing to me. Like, he's going to be a key part for the Arizona offense. Here's the thing that gives me hope about Trey McBride. He is NFL ready to catch passes right now. That is something you always got to look at with the tight ends. I know his blocking's not that bad, but the way Arizona plays offense, I don't even know if that's really going to matter all that much. They have a weird depth chart, Arizona does, at wide receiver. And, Marquise Brown, you're going to hope that even he hasn't stayed healthy all throughout his career. You have AJ Green, and AJ Green. Rondale Moore, if we're going to keep doing that. Andy Isabella doesn't exist. The rest is kind of weird. I feel like Arizona is going to have to get creative in the way they create offense without DeAndre Hopkins for the first 6 games. And basically what I'm saying is this is kind of a cop-out answer here, because this will basically tell you everything you need to know about Trey McBride. If they can integrate him in the first 6 games without DeAndre Hopkins, that gives me hope for the rest of the year that they'll continue to integrate him. And even take it one step further, if he does shine right away, I don't really see why they'd hold on to Zach Ertz all that much. They'd probably let Trey McBride hit the field pretty quickly. So I like me some Trey McBride. I'm hoping it happens this year. But I wouldn't be surprised if there was an eased in process. I could definitely see him making an impact this season, though.
So last year, Arizona had 2 tight ends or more on the field 28% of the time.
Okay, I like that number.
So that's a team who runs a ton of offensive plays. So it's not bad at all.
Who was that second tight end? Ricky Seals-Jones? Max Williams?
Yeah. Max Williams.
Max Williams?
Max Williams. Yeah. He played all right before Ertz got there.
Yeah.
See, the only thing that's deterring me from saying Trey McBride can do that is I feel like Max Williams is taller. Isn't Max Williams a skyscraper?
He's a big dude.
He's a big boy.
But you know what? They're losing Christian Kirk. I know they got Hollywood Brown.
But he's only an inch taller. We're good.
But losing Kirk is big on the inside of the field. Inside.
Yep.
And that's where Trey McBride should eat because Hollywood Brown's not really across the middle inside receiver.
Yep.
So you have your choice at your highly drafted tight end or 150 pounds soaking wet Rondale Moore. Like, I don't know where we're going here. But like I feel more comfortable with him right away.
Yeah, and to Eric's point earlier about I agree I'm not worried about the age with Zach Ertz this season, but I think that they probably should be focused on like I don't think they should try and kick the can down the road and we'll get McBride involved a year from now, 2 years from now. Because Eric, like you said, he's ready from a skill set standpoint, I think, to be involved right away.
Yep. They
can get out of the Ertz contract after 2023 real easily. But even if they decided to move on this year, it's not like it's, cost prohibitive. It wouldn't save them a ton of money or anything like that. And there'd still be, I think, $10 million in dead cap. But it's not like crazier things happen every year.
The cap hit jumping to 12.8. That's steep. That's when you do have to have a conversation. It's like, well, is he worth $12.8 million?
Yeah.
It's crazy to me that he's younger than Travis Kelce. Like, I feel like we talk about Zach Ertz like he's 1,000 years old.
Yeah. It feels like that Super Bowl was 1,000 years ago.
That's because this is Dynasty and 32 is you hopefully have filed your retirement paperwork with the league. You can no longer.
You're decrepit.
Decrepit.
You get the veteran discount at the movies on Friday.
There you go.
That works.
Get the early.
Is it bad that that's the most
crowded?
Is it bad that that's the thing I'm most excited about getting old about?
Absolutely not.
Yeah, that's amazing.
I
love the
that.
movies.
Give me some movies.
Yeah, not bad at all. All right, the first guy I wanted to bring up is Tampa Bay running back Rachaad White, selected 91st overall. I think this year, kind of like we said about Khalil Herbert, I think you get a bit of a timeshare. Obviously, Fournette's back in the fold. I think if Fournette does go down or miss some time, Rachaad White, I think, can easily handle the workload there. Kind of like we said about Trey McBride coming in and being ready to catch passes right away. At worst, Rachaad White is ready to come in and catch passes right away in that Tampa Bay offense. And not that Leonard Fournette can't do it, but I think you can get creative with both of those guys the same way we suggested. Why don't we see Montgomery and Herbert on the field at the same time? Why don't we see a little bit of Rachaad White and Leonard Fournette out there at the same time when you can, flex White out into the slot, put him in motion, get creative with him. When, Godwin's recovering from injury, who knows what's happening with Gronk? He'll probably be back by August, but for now, we don't know. I think at worst, you can get kind of standalone, sort of streaky flex value with the ceiling of if Fournette misses any time, he's a locked-in starting running back, and I think as early as next year could kind of pretty significantly eat into Fournette's workload. Him getting the day 2 draft capital was big. And I think he's got the size, the skill set that lends itself to a pretty solid 3-down role in the NFL today.
So Ke'Shawn Vaughn does not exist. We're not talking about him.
No, he's done.
This is where things will get interesting early on. This is what you're going to want to follow in training camp with the Bucs. If Gio Bernard is not playing with like the top units and they're cycling in White, that clearly tells you that they like him. If he performs well in training or the preseason, I could definitely see Rachaad White having an early impact on the Bucs. Obviously, when it comes to the offense that Brady incorporates, if you play well, you're going to play. you can't grind Leonard Fournette into the ground. I'd imagine they want to keep him for the playoffs. So I think that's the best argument for White early on. I agree, and he's going to have an impact this year. He's going to play, so they kind of need him to play.
Yeah, I agree with what you said about trying to keep. You want Fournette healthy for that stretch run too. Playoffs. So yeah, it makes sense. We need playoff Lenny back.
They've done it the last 2 years. They start light with Fournette and ramp up that workload come playoffs, and that gives White a clear chance.
Yep. Also, he's a better runner than Gio Bernard, if we're going to be honest here. So,
yes,
he's going to play.
Yeah,
he is definitely going to play. He has a chance to be a lot better than people expect.
Yeah, because I think at worst he can give you what Gio can in the passing game, if not more, right? Like Rachaad White is, I don't even know if there's a big argument for it. I think pretty easily the best pass catching running back to come out of this draft class, and offers more as a pure runner than Gio does. So if you're gonna keep him rotating and hopefully keep Fournette healthy for the playoff run, I think he's the guy you want to do it with. But it will be interesting to see if in training camp he's not getting, or cycled in those reps, and Gio is getting all of them. That wouldn't be a great sign for his early season prospects. But
training camp is important. You know Brady trusts Gio, so
exactly. So we'll have to see if White can kind of consistently work in there. But it'll be interesting to see how that all shakes out.
Yep.
All right, we'll go to Ryan for the guy that he probably thought I was going to start him with, because I didn't make the graphics in the same order that I made the show sheet. My bad. All right. Been a long week. So
it's okay. I had like
it's been a long week and it's Tuesday. Yikes.
Tuesday.
I feel that.
All right, Ryan. KJ Hamler, Broncos wide receiver. What do we like?
So looking at KJ Hamler, the first thing kind of got me thinking about him, obviously, was this impending Jerry Jeudy suspension. I know it just got dropped from trial today, all the charges got dropped, but it's still one of those things we might have to keep an eye on the NFL for. But we're looking at what Denver's offense is trying to be now and bringing in Russ. And KJ Hamler is exactly what Russell Wilson has gravitated towards. A deep threat who he can take shots to, because we're talking a guy who ran 4.3 340 coming out of college as a good route runner, averaged almost 17 yards a catch in college. But Russ, even with the terrible offensive lines that he's dealt with, has been top 5 in air yards every single year but once since 2017. So 4 out of the last 5 years, including first last year, with that while he's running for his life. We've seen him gravitate towards guys like Tyler Lockett for so long, and all these just pure speed guys. And I think that's where KJ Hamler fits in. Yes, we may have to wait a little bit, either with injuries or guys not playing, because it is a stacked team. But there's a lot of big play potential, and especially coming off the play action with the running backs here, there's a lot to like with Hamler. But like I said, we're playing a waiting game with all these guys we're talking about tonight. But if that opportunity is there, it's a perfect fit with Russ.
He does things that the others can't.
Right. Jeudy can move, but he's a legit burner, which they don't have. And they always find a way to get burners on the field in the NFL. It could be honestly him and Sutton on the outside, Jeudy in the slot, because Jeudy performs very well there. And those deep ball shots, he's going to give you some big games.
They love Tim Patrick. They'll never take Tim Patrick off the
They
field.
do love Tim Patrick.
They love Tim Patrick. He's a good player. He's a very solid player. He's an unsung hero.
They have a lot of weapons there.
They're a good offense. I'm looking at the depth chart right now. I'm like, man, this is a good team. This might be the best offensive line Rush has had in his career.
I mean,
kind of wild.
That doesn't take much to say.
It doesn't, but I like
he's the most hit quarterback since he's been in the league.
Do I pick Denver to win that division? I might. I really might. Oh man. But I like the Hamler call.
It needs the opportunity, but guys don't always stay healthy, and we've seen guys on this offense go down a lot, unfortunately. And step right in.
You want them on your best ball teams. That's for sure.
Oh,
That's
I
a good
love him.
call.
I love him in best ball.
Yeah,
I haven't.
definitely
I haven't
want him
walked
on
away
your
from.
best ball.
I haven't
list.
walked away from a best ball draft without him so far.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is, like you guys both touched on, he does what the other ones can't. And we all like Sutton. We all love Jerry Jeudy. Tim Patrick is a good player who will be involved there, but none of those guys have the legitimate, like, rip the top off of defense speed like KJ Hamler does. So I think just based on that skill set alone and combined with Russ's willingness to push the ball downfield and him finally having a better offensive line than he's had anytime probably ever, he's going to have some big blow up spots. Like, is he going to be a guy that is going to have a huge market share? No, but he's going to give you big blow up weeks. And it'll be interesting to see where he ends up by the end of the season. Like, I'm very interested to see what his end of season, like, stat line or, you know, even fantasy points per game. Like, I'm very interested to see how he shakes out when it's all said and done.
If we could somehow get 75 to 80 targets out of him, be really happy.
I agree with that. Yeah.
I would sign up for that.
I can't believe how much faster he is than Tyler Lockett.
What did he run? What was his
4.32.
What was Lockett's? 4.39?
4.4.
Did he run a 4.4?
Yeah.
Wow.
Like, I'm kind of shocked by that. Like, Hamler can roast.
Yeah, he can move.
He's no Tyquan Thornton, that's for sure. I'm going to throw that in every single 40 time. I don't care if he's good.
I don't blame you.
Going to throw that in every single time.
This show is no longer talking about 40s. We apologize. Next Carolina season, we're going
every single time
we're
it pops
up. Shuttle and vert only.
We have the speed walking 30-yard dash instead of the 40-yard dash.
Yeah, I can't wait to see who we think will be fast next year, only to be compared to Tyquan Thornton. But
Bijan can give him a run for his money. That'll happen.
All right, Eric doubled down on rookies.
Yeah, I did.
I like it.
I
love this one though. I love this one,
dude.
Titans wide receiver Kyle Phillips.
The player is Kyle Phillips. They took him. What round is that? 5, 6?
Yeah, 5.
Yeah, yuck. Way to get that one wrong, NFL. I cannot wait for that to blow up in everyone's face. Yeah. So you got Robert Woods coming off a late ACL tear. You got Treylon Burks, who, man, wouldn't it be funny if Kyle Phillips has a better year than Treylon Burks? I'm not putting that into the water or anything. And then every single player at wide receiver for them: Nick Westbrook-Ikhine, Des Fitzpatrick, Racy McMath. That's not a real name. That's a made-up name that ESPN just threw at me. Racy McMath. Okay. Anyways, Kyle Phillips is third best wide receiver that they got. He could be the second. He really, dude, honestly, like, there's a universe where he does lead the Titans in receiving yards. I could see him being a top 36 player at wide receiver this year. So, like, if we're talking about people that you can bring off the bench, I know this is going to turn a lot of heads and be like, Eric, he's a 5th round pick. I don't care. What he does will be very valuable in the NFL. Very valuable. Think Hunter, literally like what Hunter Renfrow does for the Raiders, I think Kyle Phillips can do for the Titans. That type of player.
I don't think that's crazy. And I think just dismissing any player as, oh, you know, he's a day 3 guy and, you know, who cares about opportunity? Like, people, this doesn't feel like it now. Well, maybe now because of, you know, Jameson Williams being in town, but people poo-pooed Amon-Ra in Detroit, right? And then everybody was back on board by the end of the year because he was getting some run. And for the same thing, he could do things. He had a skill set that lended itself to what a team needed and could get tough catches across the middle and be a consistent, reliable pass catcher. And that's exactly what I think Kyle Phillips can do. Like, I don't think they're the same player or anything like that, but I think they could do a lot of the same things pretty well. And I just don't think the Titans have a lot of players that can do that. Like, I love Robert Woods, but recovering from the injuries, not getting any younger, like, he is the most accomplished there. But I think I understand the difference in value in where Treylon Burks and Kyle Phillips got drafted, respectively. I get that. But I don't think it's crazy to think that, like, to me, it's crazier to assume that Treylon Burks should outproduce Kyle Phillips by a ton, because I think that is a bigger mistake. Like, I think these guys both are going to get called on in a big way, but in a way, I almost feel better about this season production from Kyle Phillips.
Yep. He's just, I mean, I despise myself for actually bringing this. I'm not even going to do it. No, I can't do that to myself.
Do it.
No.
Self-loathe. Come on.
I hate the OTAs and the rookie mini camp crap that like pops out. Like today it was like Christian Watson's dropping balls. Who gives a crap, dude? But like the one thing that popped out of Titans mini camp was like they're like, well, that's the second day in a row that Kyle Phillips has been the best player on the field, and I'm like, yeah, well,
let's go.
It doesn't matter though, dude. Like they're not even in.
Eric, OTAs matter when they justify your point, and they don't matter the rest of the time. This is how it works.
He's not the one who came out of shape and gasping for air. He's not that rookie.
Is that what they said about Burks?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. The first couple days of OTAs.
There's been rumblings.
There's been rumblings.
It gets hot there in Nashville. Yeah. You better buckle up.
Not just the chicken that's hot.
Oh boy.
Dude, that sounds delicious. That sounds
we're
delicious.
Here all night.
Right
I'm very hungry now. I'm very hungry.
Ryan, anything to add about Kyle Phillips?
You know what I think of with him is back when they had Adam Humphries.
Yeah.
Just kind of being a safety valve for Tannehill for those 1 or 2 years. And he's kind of gravitated towards that guy in a lot of cases. And that's, like you said, that's Kyle Phillips' role. And he's really the only guy there, unless Racey McMath is just Superman. Which, with that name, I don't know how he's not. He might be my new favorite player after.
Where did that guy come from? I'm looking up the
we're going to be the only podcast hitching their wagon to Racey McMath, Freddie Swain, and Tutu Atwell. We got a real brand we're building here, boys.
This is a squad.
I can't wait. We're going to get one of them on as a guest.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be an all
except for Tutu Atwell might just come on to swear at us.
I don't think Tutu wants to come on. He's caught a lot of ricochet shots.
He was taken in the 6th round of the draft last year. To every person that I talked about the draft with, you've let me down for not putting Racey McMath on my radar. Unreal. Racey McMath at 2 receptions and 8 yards.
Let's
on
go.
6 targets.
Hashtag Team McMath.
Team McMath.
Let's go. All right, the last guy that I wanted to bring up here is he just feels a little boring, and I think it's like led to him being of value, despite being in the league what feels like forever now. Cincinnati Bengals wide receiver Tyler Boyd, over 800 receiving yards in 4 consecutive seasons. Obviously, the last 2 lower receiving yards total, but he's an accomplished receiver with a very, very good to elite young quarterback on an offense loaded with weapons. So will he be the guy? Will he get the most market share there? No, obviously not. On a team with 2 wide receivers that I have ranked in my top 12 dynasty wide receivers. I have Jamar 1 and T. Higgins wide receiver 11. But I think Tyler Boyd is going to just put up another ho-hum, 800 to 900 yards receiving, but nobody wants him because he's 28. He's the 3rd guy in that offense, but I think he'll still do enough to give you, borderline wide receiver 3 value on a kind of like week in, week out basis. Like, I don't think you really need like the big blow up spot from him. Like, you don't need that game where it's like, oh, okay, he had that kind of best ball stat line, 2 or 3 catches for 110 and a touchdown or something like that. But if you need floor, like in a second flex spot or, a flex spot or even a wide receiver 3 spot on, weeks with buys, I think you could do a lot worse than Tyler Boyd. And I think you can have him very cheap, both in startups and in trades, just because of, I don't want to say how buried he is on the depth chart, but just kind of stuck behind 2 guys that are bona fide, like elite options at the position, especially in terms of dynasty value.
He's he's a wide receiver that you are very comfortable starting at your flex.
Yeah, for sure.
Like on a Sunday or Monday or Thursday, you're like, all right, well, who am I going to throw in the flex there? And you see the Bengals and they're playing some crap team. It's like, I feel good about Tyler Boyd in the flex. I feel like he could pull off at least 15.
If you need 50 yards and a possible touchdown,
he's your guy.
Yep.
Tyler Boyd's your guy. Like, you're gonna get target. I think he had over 5 targets in all but like 3 games last year. Like, he's gonna get his. He's that safety valve, and he's gonna get yards. And you know what? Those 2 superstars up top, they just open up the middle for him.
Yeah.
And he catches easy balls, gets a few yards after the catch, and he'll give you 1 or 2 big games. Like, he's a good player. I wish he'd have left.
More continuity on the Bengals offense, 1, and 2, offensive line is better. Two big reasons to believe that the Bengals will be better, even better on offense this year. I'm very sorry, Ryan. Very sorry, Ryan.
That offense could go wild this year.
They really did a good job shoring up that O-line. That's how it's done.
They did. They did a great job this offseason. But, yeah, Tyler Boyd might be one of the biggest benefactors of it. He really will. Like, those quick dump-offs to the running back, he's going to have just a little bit more time to go towards that wide receiver. So I can see a little target upkick, too.
I feel like he's probably stupid cheap in Dynasty, too.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like
nobody wants him.
Yeah, with the top 2 guys there, it's like, oh no, nobody wants Tyler Boyd. Tyler Boyd's a very good player.
Yeah,
a very good player.
Yeah, I agree, and I really think you can get him cheap in terms of picks, or almost like a throw-in in a trade if somebody comes to you looking for a younger player on your team, because like the big blow-up weeks are fun, and we love like the stars, especially in this offense. Like, nobody's gonna sit here and tell you Jamar Chase isn't at worst a top 2 wide receiver in Dynasty, but there's plenty of weeks where you're playing a team and you're in your league where it's like, okay, in my flex or in my 3rd wide receiver spot, I don't need the home run. Like, I need a double. You know, I need my guy to get on base, and Tyler Boyd is that. Yeah, sometimes you just got to play the odds instead of looking for the big swing every time. And I think he's the perfect example of that kind of player that will be more valuable or return better value than how he's being treated right now. All right. Anything we want to add last minute here before we mosey on out of here? Other than it being 99 days from NFL football?
That's the only thing that matters.
That is the only thing that matters. Well, this matters. It was like 92 degrees here today, and then tomorrow it's going to be like 60. What's going on with that? What the hell? I don't like that.
Yeah, we're gonna get burnt up by the sun.
That's how I get sick.
Yeah. Well, everybody don't get sick. Enjoy the weather swings. Yeah, it was very, very hot here today also. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. But
I don't like the heat. I'm not a fan of the heat.
I like I don't know how it was by you. This is a weather podcast now. Yes. I don't know how it was by you today, but at least here it was hot. It wasn't very humid, though. It was a dry heat, like they like to say.
Yeah. Humid or not, dry heat or not, it sucks all the way around. It's bad.
Yeah, but dry heat is not as bad as dry heave.
I'm just happy we've made it to May before we started complaining about the heat in the summer. After a terrible winter, that makes me smile inside that we just don't care.
That's fair. All right, so that's weather with the Dynasty Big Board crew.
Yeah, we made you hold out for 34 minutes.